What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a VR called My Disheveled Decks by Astro Lady Tarot. I don't have a lot. I think I have like less than 5, but I gotta go look for them, so give me 1 second. So it was 6 decks. I was close. So some of these do really look disheveled, and then most of them are just old, like they're probably 20 plus years old, more or less. The first one is, I guess this is called Tarot Nova. This is a this is the smallest deck that I have too. This came in like a weird witchy bundle that I got when I was like 15 or 16. Look how tiny these are. And during that time, that was like when I was very first starting to dive into, you know, books and stuff about divination. But this is pretty old. It still smells like my incense because I kept it in my huge witchy trunk for, like I said, almost 20 years. Oh, I just spat. You didn't see that. And I also had incense in that trunk, so anything that was in there for like the 20 plus years just smells like it, and this deck smells like the incense. Another deck is this dream deck, which I don't even know what it's called. I think it's just called the Dream Deck. This, I forgot where I got this from. This is another one that's like almost 20-ish years old, but it has like images on the backs and then information on the fronts. I think these cards were like connected in a weird way. I don't know if you guys can see this line here and here. It's kind of like they were connected like this, and you had to tear them up and make them a deck. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird deck. This one also smells like incense. It was in that trunk for like almost 20 years. Next is the Doreen Virtue deck. This one is really old, and like, look at the box. It's all messed up. It has so much dents in it and like weird scratches. This is one of her OG decks. Like the box was pretty, you know, dented up, but the deck itself is actually pretty in good condition, like pretty pristine. I mean, I do try to take care of my decks, you know, but usually the boxes, this is totally upside down. The boxes are what's more disheveled looking or more worn out looking than the deck itself, I think. Unless it didn't come in a box, then the deck would be kind of old looking. Next is the deck that I keep in here, which I don't know the name of it right now. Oh, there's 2 decks in here. Okay, well both of these decks are really old ones. So this one, I forgot the name. I think this one is just called the Fairy Oracle. But this is, again, one of my older decks. Like I said, I do take care of the actual decks themselves. And because it's been in a bag for the most part. This one is not well taken care of. What happened to this card? Something happened to this card. This card is very damaged for some reason. I don't remember this deck ever getting damaged though. Like there's like a bend in here. Can you guys see that? Kind of like somebody bent the card like this, and it looks like it got wet. That's weird. I do not recall ever seeing that happen to this deck. I'm wondering if any of the other cards are like that. Hold on. I checked the whole deck, and none of the other cards have damage in them as opposed to this guy. Weird. Maybe because he's the most mischievous in here. I don't know. So that's 7 decks then, because I didn't know that there were 2 in this bag. The other one is this deck, which I totally do not recall the name of at this time, but it has cards for the planets, it has cards for the zodiac signs, and cards for the houses. So it's kind of like three in one, I guess. There's a particular way to read with this deck too, but this is one of my very first decks that I got. Doesn't look that, I mean, there's some damage on there. You see how the edges are kind of worn out? Like I said, not too bad. I mean, I do try to take care of them. Look at that worn outness on the edges here. What is going on with this? Excuse me. And then the last two, I think these are my oldest decks. I think these were the actual very first ones that I ever got. The first one is Madame Andora's fortune cards. Look at this box though. This box is so old. But you know, it's still intact. Like it's not, you know, breaking down or whatever. So the box is very worn out. Again, about it's probably like a 20-year-old deck. Like I said, I think I got them when I was 15. Damn, that was a while ago. But the deck itself, it's not, I mean, it is kind of a little worn out, you know, but not too much, because I do try to take care of them. I etched this one in like an antique brown. But for the most part, the deck itself is not that damaged. It's the box. Copyright at 2003. Dang, this is an old deck. Is that when I got it? How old was I? I think that is when I got it. Or earlier. No, it couldn't have been earlier. Because I graduated 8th grade in the year 2000. So 2003, I would have been about 15, 16. Dang, so old. And then the last disheveled deck that I want to show you is the very first tarot deck that I ever got. The Gothic Tarot. And again, the box is what is worn out. But still kicking, you know? It's still It's still a functional box. It's not totally falling apart. But this is the very first tarot deck that I ever got. The reason why I got this deck was I had no idea what tarot was when I first got the deck. What drew me to it is Gothic and the artwork, like the darkness. Because, you know, like dark beauty, that's what I love. That's what I still love. But as far as like tarot goes, I was interested, you know, it was a deck of cards, a form of divination that I at the time didn't know of. So I was like, ooh, I like the artwork and it's something that I can learn. Like, let me get it. Oh, I did etch this one. Wasn't the best tarot deck to start off with though. This one is not, see, this one isn't that bad. I'm trying to check if the edges look worn out. You know what? I'm probably hiding the oldness of the deck though, because I did edge this one in black. So if there was any worn out edges here, you wouldn't be able to see it because the black ink would have covered it. But this was not the very best deck to start off with tarot, because it's pip-ish. It's not fully pip, but it is pip-ish. I will say that. And most of the cards is not your typical RWS. So I was very, very confused. And I think at the time, it's just something that I loved for the artwork. The book, I don't think was very informative. I mean, this was like 20 years ago. Things were not that great 20 years ago. As far as like, you know, getting information and all that stuff, you had to like physically go to a library. Limited internet access, things like that, but here's the little white book. This deck is really dear to my heart, you know, in its own particular way, because it was the very first tarot deck that I got. I think it technically was the very first deck of anything that I got. I mean, Loteria doesn't count because like the Loteria deck my mom hangs on to. But when I think about that day where I grabbed the deck, I remember who I was at that time. I remember what I was going through and what I went through after, just what I was feeling at that time. And then just thinking about who I was then and who I am now, it's like, whoa. And you go through a lot in 20 years. You go through a lot in 1 year. A lot of people go through a lot in 1 day. Can you imagine 20 years, what somebody would have gone through? So it's just it's a memory. It's a big memory. When I look at it, when I grab it, it just brings me back to when I was like 15, 16, you know, being a baby witch at the time, but wanting to learn. That's why this deck is dear to my heart. I don't really use it as much, of course, because it's pip-ish, but it's one of my babies. It's one of my old babies. It's actually, the box is kind of dirty. Well, that is it for this video. So I had a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 disheveled / old decks that were like almost 20 years old, if not older. Sometimes it's weird to think that you own things that are that old. Like I have shirts that are 15 years old that I still wear. Surprisingly, they don't really have holes in them either. Anyways, I'm straying off. So that is it for this video, guys. If you stuck to this part of the video, leave the... I don't think there's an emoji to indicate oldness. Well, the old people emoji. So leave the old man or the old woman emoji in the comments. That way I know you stuck to this part of the video. Don't forget to like the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!